What's going on, everybody? It's your boy Adam. It's Chaos to Comeback. I'm on the comeback home of a long, crazy day, and it really is time to sit and chill for a minute. The good Lord was like, you know what? You need to go chill for a minute on your way home. I didn't want to. I just wanted to go home, and I'm not even taking the bike trail all the way home today, because it'll save me 4 miles if I don't. Well, we'll see when I get there anyway. Maybe when I get there I'll change my mind and just want to go on like a laid back bicycle trail. But I'm gonna have to hit the stop button for a minute. Just some dude walking his dog, and I didn't want to you know how I am. I don't like to talk on my video camera with people around. If it was just somebody flying by on a bike or something, or jogging or something, I wouldn't really care. But it just makes me lose my train of thought when I'm watching somebody. I don't know, maybe it's just from living in the city all the years where you got to pay attention to everybody. Who's that? What's he doing? Where the hell's he coming from? What's he, that kind of stuff. Like this morning on the bike trail, it was like, I leave at 6:15 a.m. It's been a weird day. But I was on the bike trail, let's say 6:20 or something, and there was some dude coming down the trail, and he looked like he was on like a Huffy or something. And it didn't look like he was up to anything good. I'm not trying to be judgmental, but I was like, he was kind of swerving in my direction on the trail, and I was like, what the fuck's this guy doing? And I went past him, and he didn't I was like, what's up? It did one of those. But he looked like, if I was a gambling man, I would be betting on he's either looking for someone to rob or a cute little girl to rape, or who knows. Something wasn't right. Something wasn't right about this guy. And I kept looking over my shoulder, but I'm like some fucking dude in a tank top and basketball shorts riding around on a Huffy. He ain't gonna catch me on my race bike. It's not. That ain't happening. Even if I'm just cruising, and I wasn't. I have my my little dashboard. I'll show you. Got my little dashboard right here. I don't know if you can here. So you can see my little dashboard that sits now on my handlebars. Got my sweet little bell. So hold on, why isn't that focusing? So where the hell, I can't even see what I'm doing here. I can't get the thing to focus, hold on. It may not sound loud, but it scares the shit out of people when I come creeping up on them on this trail, I'll tell you that. And then you can see my heart rate is 116. I've gone 37.6 miles so far today. Don't pay attention to my average speed. I'm just cruising. I'm just cruising. I don't care about my speed today. So I'm looking at my heart rate. And this morning, the whole way in, my heart rate was under 130 the whole way. Until I got to a segment where there was a dude on a bike up ahead of me, and I decided to try and catch him. And I caught him, and I blew past him. I was going like 27 miles an hour when I passed him. And that was the one spot on my heart rate readout from Strava that said my heart rate was at 172 beats per minute. So I was actually trying for a minute. A little sprint for the morning, but I had some weird shifting issues this morning, and I'm like, something wasn't right. But it was a nice, calm ride. And on the way home, I get to the 11-mile mark. There's a left-hand turn exactly at 11 miles into this ride. And so I have to hang at a left-hand turn signal because there's traffic coming the other direction. And so I'm like stopped, but I'm out in the intersection. Like if the light turns red for the left turn and the opposite oncoming traffic has to stop, I'm making my left turn. You know, it's just like you would do when you're driving a lot. You know, you edge out in, you know, you block the box, like they say. And then as soon as that light turns red and all the people come in the opposite direction are done running the red light, then it's my turn to make my turn. And I'm not going to wait another cycle of the light to make my turn. So that's what I was doing. And I go to go, and I push down on my pedal and my back wheel is seized, like locked. And I'm like, what? I'm like, it felt like my brakes were squeezed shut. And I'm looking down, I'm like, my brake's fine. I'm like, I look down, my chain looks all a fool, and everything just looks wacky, and my wheel won't spin. And I'm like, what the fuck is going on? And so I'm like, all right, I get off the bike, I walk my bike over to, I cross the intersection, I get off the road, and I'm just chilling by a light post. And I look back, my back wheel is off the bike. Like it slipped out of the dropouts. The quick release was all loose and the whole back wheel just came out of the frame. And I'm like, what in the I don't know if that has ever happened to me in all my years of mountain biking and everything else. If it ever happened, could have been a bad quick release skewer that was stripped. The threads were stripped out somehow, maybe. I don't know. I cannot remember that ever happening. Thank God it wasn't the front wheel that just popped out while I'm riding. Because in this case, it was literally just, everything was fine up to that point. I was making good time. I was riding smooth, silk. And then all of a sudden, boom, it just freak thing out of nowhere. And so the wheel could have been sitting in the frame, but loose for a while. And it may have just been the torque of me trying to start at that intersection that finally popped it out of the dropouts. But I was like, yo, I mean, that made me like, I was starting to wonder if I'm going to be stranded. I'm looking at my frame. I'm looking at everything, and nothing looks broken. And so I put the wheel back in the frame. I tighten down the quick release skewer. I clamp it shut. Everything's tight. Everything's smooth. The brake is all misaligned, but these brakes are hard to keep aligned. I've been having issues with that since the day I bought the bike. I've been using Loctite and other tools to keep the brakes centered on the rim. But I mean, you know, the wheel popping out of the thing could have thrown the brake caliper out of alignment. So it wasn't like a big deal to me. I didn't have all the tools to fix that problem, but I did have a screwdriver to fix the alignment screw. So I was able to fix that. The wheel was slightly out of true. It was a little wobble to the wheel. So I fixed that with a spoke wrench. And I'm looking at it, and I'm really going over everything. I'm like, am I missing something here? And I'm kind of like, I don't think I'm going to ride the bike again until I get home. You know, when I get home, I don't think I'm going to ride it tomorrow until I have a chance to put it up in the work stand, take the back wheel out, and just check everything. But nothing really seems like anything's wrong now. I rode here from where this happened, which is 3 or 4 miles more, and didn't have any issues. Everything seems smooth. You know, Nothing's loose. When I got to the park bench here, I gave it a once over. Everything seems fine. The only explanation I can come up with is road vibrations might have loosened something up enough, and torque of, powering up a few hills, whatever. I don't know. Something between road vibrations, torque, and just whatever. Something, it may have just worked the quick release loose. The only other explanation is that when it was locked up, somebody went up to it and opened up the quick release lever. But if that were the case, I feel like I would have known, because that would have made the back wheel really loose. And the quick release lever was closed when it came out of the wheel. It wasn't held open. It was, so I don't know. So that was just a strange thing today. But I was, and the sabotage thing kind of, it doesn't seem plausible, because this morning I was having these weird issues where when I would stand up and torque and really put some power in, all of a sudden this fucking dude has 2 cell phones mounted on his handlebars on his e-bike, but like 2 cell phones, and he's sitting there texting and shit as he's going by, not paying any attention to anything. All right, whatever. But anyway, I was putting in some power a couple of times this morning, and the chain was jumping off the cog like it was misshifting. And I'd sit down and I'm like, what the hell's going on? And I'd go up and down a couple of gears and everything would be fine. And then I'd get up out of the saddle again, and then all of a sudden, clunk, it would like jump a gear. And I'm like, and there was a time this morning where it felt like my brakes were grabbing. So that wheel, like something could have been up this morning. I don't know how or when or where or why it happened. But that was strange. But weird shit happens on bikes, especially when I'm closing in on 1,000 miles on this bike. I'm up over 700 miles since I started riding this bike. So 700 out of my 3,000 miles, or what, I'm closing in on 3,000 miles. In fact, today when I get home, I might be over 3,000 for the year. I'll know for sure tomorrow. But I was riding home one day and my handlebars out of nowhere loosened up on this bike to the point where I was like, I felt like it might be dangerous, and I had to go to like a True Value hardware store because I needed 2 Allen wrenches and I only had 1, because you had to put 1 Allen wrench on one side, 1 on the other, and counter torque them to get the piece tight that had to be tight. And I didn't have 2 wrenches to counter each other. And so, there was no way to ghetto fix it. There are safety mechanisms inside the stem where it loosened up to where even if the bolt had fallen out, it wouldn't, or it would not have fallen down. The handlebars would not have fallen down. It would have taken quite a bit for it to get that bad. But I didn't want to ride home with handlebars that were all loose and shaking and whatnot, and so I had to stop and fix it. And it was kind of like the same thing today. I haven't got a flat tire on this bike yet, knock on wood. But strange things happen. I was riding home on the Red Rocket one day, and I have this clamp, this really heavy-duty clamp that holds my phone on the handlebars. And I'm riding along, and this thing is tight. It's not. It has a special tool to tighten it down so that somebody can't walk by and loosen it up and walk off with it. But it was tight. I mean, really tight. I put my phone in that thing and I torque it down, and it's got a thing. Like, if I was in a crash, the phone would not get dislodged. The phone would break in half and probably still not come out of this holder clamp. But the clamp itself, I'm riding along, and all of a sudden the phone just flops down and falls and is hanging below the handlebars, just flopping around. And I'm like, what the fuck? That dude's making tracks. He's not even trying, but he's going pretty quick. He's going about 15, 20. But anyway, so I had to like pull over and get out the special tool and tighten the whole thing down. And I'm like, what the fuck? Like, this came out of nowhere. Everything was fine. I mean, the thing was on there solid. And then all of a sudden, bink, it just fell over. But the phone didn't come out of the clamp. But the thing was just flopping around. Like, it completely loosened up. And I have no idea why or how. And I tightened it down, and it's never loosened up again since. Vibration of the road coming through, you know, can loosen up a screw or loosen something up. You know, same thing can happen on a car. Just the vibration of driving and whatnot can cause something like that to happen. But then I was like, all right, some other goofy thing. And so I get down to this bench. I'm like, it's time to chill for a few minutes and just relax. Nice, easygoing day today. I did not forget my phone, obviously, this time. So I'm using it to talk to you guys. And, I don't know, it was a nice, peaceful ride in this morning. I tried not to waste energy, because today is the day that I have to live to all the heavy stuff. And yesterday, oh my goodness, Sunday, I did a video yesterday. You watched it yesterday. I was done yesterday. I came home from work Saturday at 6. I was asleep at 7. I didn't wake up until 11 o'clock on Sunday, and I could barely stand up. When I got out of bed, I could barely stand up on my feet. I was limping to the kitchen. I made my coffee. I went and sat down for a couple hours. Pretty much the only thing I did was get up, go over, record a video, went back and sat down for a bit. Later on in the evening, I whipped up a frozen pizza with some extra toppings on it, threw that in the oven, and while it was in the oven, I washed some dishes. As many as I could do while I was waiting for the oven to heat up and waiting for the pizza to cook. So however many I could do in 15, 20 minutes. And then I sat down, I ate that whole freaking pizza, and then I was done for the night. I just sat down, I watched a little more of the Tour de France, finished stage 14, started stage 15. Spoilers hit me. Sometime when I was sitting at my computer or on the phone, one or the other, I wasn't even looking for it. One headline pops up in front of me. Tadej Pogačar, interview with Tadej Pogačar after winning the Tour de France. And I'm like, fuck, great, thanks. Another headline popped up. Tadej Pogačar wins his fourth Tour de France. I knew this was going to happen. I'm on stage 15 now out of 21. And the women's Tour de France has already started. It started Saturday, the day before the men's finished. And so I knew I wasn't going to get to the end without knowing. And based on how the race has been going so far, it was pretty obvious who was going to win it. The only guy that could have put up a fight wasn't. I just got passed by a couple of walkers, so don't want to talk when certain people walk by. But yesterday, holy crap, was I done And today, the only thing that went wrong today is I have a check to deposit in the bank, and I wanted to do it after work today. And I was like a quarter mile down the road after leaving the house, realized that I left the check in the desk. And I was like, I'm not turning around to go get it at that point. I'm already on my way. And so I have to go make a deposit tomorrow. So it's another month where I'm basically, I can't pay my rent until I make this deposit and it clears the bank, which it'll be in the bank. Then it clears the day after I deposit it. I need to get to the point where I can make rent on the 15th of the month so that the rest of the month is all gravy from there. And right now I'm still at the point where now I'm going to pay rent and I'm going to have money left over. So it's not like it's not like I'm going to be down to my last $50 or whatever, but I'll be able to go grocery shopping and all that stuff and do what I got to do. I'll probably do something useful for the house. I really want some curtains. That might be what I do. And I'm kind of like, I got an extra bonus check from a client. And I'm like, I kind of want a heart rate monitor that I can wear when I'm at the bakery, only because I'm curious, especially on a day like today where I'm having to do all the heavy lifting and stuff. I kind of want to know how much of a workout I'm getting from that. But it is what it is. I don't know what I'm going to do. I don't feel like I want to spend frivolous money, but it's for my health. It's not totally frivolous. And, but I won't do anything until I reconcile all my accounts and make that deposit and just see what's left after I pay the rent and whatever. I think there might be one bill that needs to be paid before the end of the month. And then we're on a new month. I have an invoice to send out tomorrow. So I'll be okay. But I'm really trying to get to where next month's rent is paid by the 5th. Like, I'm able to pay rent by the 15th. And I guess I could have on the 15th this month. I don't know. I just want to know that, like, I want to get to the point where I've got like 2 months rent sitting in the bank and I don't got to worry about, like, oh my God, I got to make this deposit tomorrow or it won't be in there on time. Because that kind of bothered me today, that I'm going to have to get on my bicycle tomorrow, Tuesday, and go on a 14-mile ride to make a deposit at the bank. There's a guy who lives, according to Facebook Marketplace, right next door to the bank, who's got a pair of mountain bike shoes for $15. Another $15 pair of shoes. These aren't as nice as the other $15 shoes that I was looking at on Marketplace, where I would have to go on a 20-mile ride each way to go get them. But I did just get my brand new pair of Giro mountain bike shoes, my high-end mountain bike shoes. And seeing as though I have 2 pair now, and I just need cleats for the second pair, and I just need to spend a little bit of time mounting them, and going for a quick ride or one ride to and from work. Oh, what's up? So yeah, that didn't work out. Well, it kind of worked out. My phone kept giving me an overheating warning. Here we go with the phlegmy. As soon as I sit in front of the camera, I've been talking on Zoom meetings all day. I wasn't phlegmy at all. As soon as I go to shoot a YouTube video, there's like a frog in my throat every time. I don't get why it shows up when it's time to talk on YouTube. But I'm not even gonna edit Look at my hair, look at me. I obviously don't care. This is the day I'm having today. Got the laundry started, so I'm gonna have to stop the video every 15 minutes until the video is done. It is what it is. Had a meeting this morning at work. It went well. In the park yesterday, I kept getting an overheating warning on the phone, and finally, if your phone gets too hot, it'll just be like, I'm not using the camera anymore. I'm not, till you cool me down. I'm not letting you use the camera. So I was like, you know what? I don't want it to get so hot that it just decides to shut off, because I was recording my ride with Strava. And I'm like, you know what? I'm just going to put it back in the bag and go home. And then I got home and I'm just done yesterday. I may have to go. I don't even know. I have to go to the bank now because I screwed up and forgot to bring the check that I need to deposit. And no, I don't know how to use this bank sucks. I don't even trust their mobile deposit on their app, but they keep saying that it's there. I open up the app, I don't see any option for a mobile deposit. I've used it in the past with no problems. I do kind of prefer going to the bank in person because I'm old school, and it's just it'd be one thing if I had so much money in the bank that it wouldn't matter if somehow it got screwed up, but I have to put that money in the bank before the 1st. I could do it tomorrow and still be fine. So I'm kind of debating whether I go do it today or tomorrow. Seems that the bank is open till 5. I don't know if that means that the drive-thru is open till 6. All right, I mean, that gives me plenty of time if I want to do it today. And then something else popped up. Facebook, I'm telling you, they know what you're talking about. I go to Facebook Marketplace. I was talking about maybe getting a Garmin chest strap heart rate monitor. And maybe they're just reading your thoughts now. I don't know. I was at the bakery yesterday and I wasn't wearing my fitness band because you can't. And it would just get jostled around, and this thing pops out of the band so easily. It's one thing about this one that sucks, is that the band is just rubber around this unit. And I'm not going to do it in front of you guys, but I could just pop this thing right out. So if it gets caught in the strap of a backpack or other situations, this thing will just pop right off the band. They do make different bands that will hold it a little more tightly. But I almost lost it in a parking lot a while back. And I noticed it was gone. I retraced my steps. I'm like, it had to be in that. It had to be in the parking lot or in the Chick-fil-A parking lot where I took off my backpack, and I went back, and sure enough, the thing was sitting right there on the ground. But I wanted to get a chest strap. Not just but I want to know how much I burn, how many calories, like how much of a workout that is, especially when I unload the delivery trucks there. But it's an active job. Sometimes I get sweaty. It's an active job. It's a hard job. And I'm curious as to how much energy I burn while I'm working. But not only that, having a chest strap heart rate monitor would give me more options for when I'm cycling to track what I'm doing, and it's something I've wanted for quite a while. So anyway, I was talking about someone's got a pair of bike shoes for $15, and I kind of just said, I don't need those because a brand new pair of bike shoes came in. Well, somebody put up one of these heart rate monitors. It popped. It was at the top of my feed for $60 when they cost 120 new. And from the photos, it looks like it's in perfect shape. But it's a 20-mile ride. So to go get those $15 bicycle shoes that are probably 150 or more new, it was going to be a 20-mile ride each way. And it wasn't anywhere where I could do it in the context of if I wanted to stop on my way home from the bakery, my ride home from the bakery would become 40 miles. It's just way out of my way. And so if I can line it up to where I can go get a pair of $15 cycling shoes with cleats, that's another $25 that I wouldn't have to spend. Cycling shoes with cleats, $150 to $200 shoes with the cleats, and $120 heart rate monitor, and spend $75, it's worth it. That would be, my client gave me a little bonus pay. I would have enough cycling shoes that I'm pretty sure that I'm covered for 3 years. For the next 2 to 3 years, I should not have a need for cycling shoes or cleats. I would go from having one pair, which is none. One is none, two is one in the prepper lexicon, to having 3 pair with cleats. I'd have to get a set of cleats for my brand new ones that I got for free. They did come in the mail. I don't know if I talked about that, but my brand new cycling shoes came in the mail, came from FedEx, from Giro. Same exact shoes I had, same color and everything. So that would be nice. That would be nice to have 3 decent pair of cycling shoes. The ones that I'm wearing they have life left in them. They were just starting to worry me that maybe when the 1 year mark crosses, which will be in September, October, probably September, when that line is crossed, the 1 year anniversary where the warranty no longer applies, I was afraid that they might either fall apart or have a big gaping hole in the side or something like that. For now, I'm just going to ride those things till they fall apart. And I have a brand new pair to back them up. I've gone about 3,000. I'm closing in on 3,000 miles if I'm not there already. If I just take a quick look at Strava, I think I don't need to do any maintenance on my account. If I look under my activities and look at where I'm at, my bike ride yesterday, the wheel fell off bike ride, and my chill morning ride. Looks like I have, let's see, my profile. No, just go to the training calendar, that'll say it. 3,005 miles of adventure so far this year. So on the bicycle, I'm still a little shy of that. The bicycle part of what I'm tracking is 2,943.3 miles. And walking, I've gone 60 miles on my feet. That I've tracked if I'm walking from point A to B or whatever. I don't count, walking around at a place that is just walking to get somewhere. In Jamestown last year, I walked almost 600 miles. What was it? 2024? Uh, 560 miles. it says here, but there was, because of the cycling. I don't know. It was somewhere around 560 miles or more of walking last year. So I'm tired. I'm tired, and I think that the fatigue and exhaustion that I'm feeling right now, I think it's coming from a few places. I think now that I live in a place that has, like, I can cook, I have a kitchen I can cook in, a bathroom I can drop a deuce in with a door closed and just have me time. I'm not copping a squat on a toilet in a tool shed. That felt like living in a prison cell, that tiny house. It accomplished the need to have a place to live, but it felt like I moved into a prison cell that I was allowed to come and go from anytime I wanted to. A prison cell with no barbed wire fence. It didn't feel good to live there at all. And so I think that part of the irritation or whatever that I'm feeling, the lack of energy, is coming from everything that I've been through, going to prison and the whole thing, all of it, from August 2022 to April 2024, followed by all the misery and hell that I went through, followed by living at my friend's house but having to grind and try to get things figured out. And my friends were like, we want you to feel like you're at home and we want you to be comfortable. But how comfortable can you really be being a guest at someone else's place, And so, and it goes both ways. Like, if I had my best friend living with me and I had a house big enough to do that, it would be uncomfortable for me and my friend. Just because it's, I'm used to having my place to myself, and it's not that it wouldn't even be anything like I don't trust him when I'm gone or anything like that. It would just be, you want your place back at some point. And so it just, so all of that, working at the bakery, close to 40 hours a week sometimes, followed by moving into that tool shed, all the stuff, all the stress I went through, and then getting here, and it's like, now that I'm like kind of settled into a place, and I feel like I can just and like finally just take a breath of relaxation, and I have a nice place. I think it's nice. I'm happy with it. For what it is. I feel like I have a ways to go to accomplish what I want to do here, but I feel comfortable and I feel like I can let my guard down a little bit. I feel like, but I'm still having to do all these things, ride my bike everywhere and everything else. But I think it's just my body just finally was like, 3 years of nonstop stress, 3 years of the most brutal nonstop stress and trauma that you can imagine being heaped on somebody, my body just finally like, all right, now it's time to go to sleep. And I'm tired. Like, it's like way beyond the fatigue I have felt before this point. And I just think it's everything caught up to me. And finally, when I could lower my stress, it was like, okay, my body's like, now you need to chill. Now you need to rest. Now you need to come home from the bakery, go to bed at 7 o'clock at night and not get up until 11 o'clock Sunday morning. Now you just need to repair your body and the damage and the stress and try to get over it. And just like recuperate, recover. And so I think that's a big contributor, aside from having to ride my bicycle everywhere, aside from juggling more things than I can juggle. I think that just getting into a place where you feel somewhat comfortable and letting your guard down was enough to just trigger my body into this massive fatigue, exhaustion, just my body's trying to force me now to just go to sleep and sleep for a month or whatever it is that you need when you go through this. But I can't do what my body wants me to do, but I need to figure out how to balance all this out. And I don't think that's a bad place to be, really. The fact that, I could not rest at the homeless shelter. You gotta go to Betty by time at 11 o'clock at night. Lights out, you gotta go to sleep. And you gotta be up at like 7 in the morning. Up. They come around and wake people up if you're not awake. Now, if you're in the private room like I had, I could sleep in until like 9 a.m. or something. But you have to be out of there. I think it was 9 a.m. You have to be out of there. And you can't come back until, it's like 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock, something like that in the evening. Let's say 5. I would come back in time for dinner most of the time. If I didn't, I would use my food stamps to go get a bite somewhere. But I was never out. I never got to be outside after dark. I never got to see what a sunset looked like. And I never felt like I could just relax and get rested there. I remember the first time after prison that I got a relaxing night of sleep. I came home on April 2nd. The first time I had a good night's sleep and relaxed was the day I came to Houston. I came to Houston. My friend and his family had to travel. They were going to New Orleans for a week. I think it was a week. And so I had to get to his house on the night I got there because, well, I didn't have to, but because I would have been able to get in, like, we would have worked it out so that I could have got myself in. But the problem was I had to drop off a rental vehicle. And where I had to drop off the rental vehicle, the walk back to his house would have been something like 10 miles. So I would have had to go drop off a rental van and then walk 10 miles to get back. And so there's that. And but I would have been okay with it. I mean, a 10-mile walk is, a few hours, but I've done it. It wouldn't have been the end of the world. But anyway, I got to his house the night before they left. And we went and dropped off the rental van that night. And then we came back to his place. We hung out for a bit. I don't remember what time I went to bed. Time zone change was all screwing around with me. Everything. I was in a daze. And I went to bed. I think I woke up at 3 in the afternoon. I think I laid down their bed. The bed in their guest room is like a king size bed in a room that, I'm telling you, this bed was so big. I'm telling you, there's that bed. If I put that bed in the tool shed I was living in, you wouldn't even be able to get around it. I don't even know how you'd get it in there. a bed that big. But I mean, the bed was bigger than some apartments in New York City. Memory foam mattress, like, oh, just as soon as I hit that thing, I was like, oh my God, gone, out, cold. And I think I slept until 3 in the afternoon the next day. And that was so that was sometime in September, like the second, like the middle of September-ish, like September 12th, the night of September 12th, possibly. So I went from April 2nd to September 12th, not being able to get a proper night's sleep. And when you're in prison, you don't get a night's sleep either. So the last time I got a good night's sleep would have been possibly July of 2022. Somewhere in that, to where I could just sleep and recover and have a wake up when you want to wake up night of sleep. I'm going to say it would have been July 2022 all the way to September 12th of 2024. So more than 2 years without a proper night's sleep. And then even after that, it didn't, I didn't get to rest that long. I did have a week where his family was in New Orleans, and a week, or like more like a 4-day stretch or something like that. But I had stress because I had to report to a probation officer down here in Houston, and that was stressing me out, especially the first time I talked to the guy on the phone. He seemed like, I was like, yo. I was a little nervous about it. Just the way he had a certain attitude about him. That's changed. That's totally, he has a totally different attitude towards me now. He's probably, because he didn't know me. He didn't know anything about me other than what he read in his report. And maybe he had a certain impression that changed after he met me a few times. And I haven't been a problem, and he told me I'm at the bottom of his pile, etc., etc. But that was a lot of stress. Like, not getting a good night, not getting a proper night's sleep for over 2 years. I mean, some people, they go to jail and prison. Some people really do. Some people can just sleep it through. There was a guy in Danbury Federal Prison, who, big fat dude. He never left his bed. I'm talking like, I think he left his bed once a week to go get commissary. Because he never once did I see him go to the chow hall. So all of his food, everything he eats comes from commissary. Yeah, I mean, some people just have lots of money on their books, and they can just live off of that. And I mean, you're in prison, but there are different levels of how well you can live in prison. And if somebody's put money on your books, whether it's your money or you're living off of someone else's good graces, you can spend like $150 a week. And in the federal prison, the prices were a little bit more like grocery store prices for things that you eat and buy. Whereas in the jail that I was in, a pack of ramen noodles was $2. $1.50 to $2 for one 15-cent pack of ramen noodles could be $2. But in the prison, but there it may have been 30 cents or something. I don't know what it was, but. So this dude I never ever saw him leave his bed, except for maybe he would go to he was in my row in the dormitory. I think his bed was across the walkway from mine. I don't know his name. Didn't really talk to him much. Kind of kept to myself and a handful of other people, and it's just, I don't know, it just, I got along with some people there, and I got to know some people, and if I was going to be in that place for a long time, I would have moved to a different housing unit to be around people that I got along with better. You can do that kind of shit, especially if you don't fuck around and you don't, they have a special housing unit for military only. Like if you're ex-military, if you're a vet, they have a housing unit just for you and your people. It's got like American flags all over it, and it's fucking, hoorah, right? You can apply to go live there. There's different units for different people. And there's like, I'll just leave it at that. And but I was only going to be there for 4 months, so I'm just like, I could give a fuck. Didn't care. I didn't want to have to pick up everything and move it 20 times. You move a lot. Like, you don't really keep the same bed. And it's not like Shawshank Redemption where, what's his name, got a jail cell in prison, and he had that cell for 25 fucking years or however long it took him to chip a hole into the wall. They don't do that. At least not, maybe in like certain prisons they might. But I never saw that anywhere I was. You move cells like all the fucking time. You're constantly having to pick up your shit and move it somewhere else. You'd be lucky to have the same cell for 2 weeks. Most of these places. And, but I could see, like, if it's a place where you're doing a life sentence. But I feel like they move you around just to keep you from being, maybe the guards, maybe the prison staff saw Shawshank Redemption and said, you know what, we can't let these prisoners keep the same cell for more than 6 months. We got to move them around and make sure they're not putting holes in the wall, like Escape from Alcatraz, and however, all the different ways they did it, but. But yeah, that experience and just everything since. Now that I got into a place where I feel kind of comfortable. I remember my probation officer came over here and he was like, yeah, this place is better than where you were, but it is small. Like, it is small. It's like a single wide trailer. I mean, it's basically a single wide trailer that was gutted and made into like a more modern layout where it's all wide open. Whereas if you have a trailer this size, 10 feet by, 40 feet, a 10 foot by 40 foot trailer typically would be like divided up into rooms, and it would be all just, it would be kind of like a little maze inside there with all these nooks and crannies and shit. And I've seen lots of different trailers and campers, and they do try to make it feel like, like it's bigger than it is, or I don't know, they section it off differently and kind of try to make it feel like it's got different rooms and stuff going on. And this place, they just gutted it, opened it all the way up, and just made it like a wide open space. And I like that. But it's small. It's small. It's exactly square foot wise, twice as big as the tool shed. The room that I'm in right now, this room that you see me in right now, you've seen the tour. This first room is as big as the tool shed was. So, and then I've got, all that extra space going back. So I'm comfortable enough here. I still feel like I'm camping. I'm sleeping on a cot. Like somebody was leaving me a comment about, you just need to focus on getting a car and blah, blah, blah. It's like, you have no fucking idea what I need to focus on. I got 50 different things I need to do. A bed. I haven't slept on a fucking bed since I was at my friend's house. You know what I'm saying? A car is one thing out of a lot of things. And the thing is, as soon as I get a car, which I want, I have a car insurance payment now, gasoline, maintenance. I'm going to be taking a car to the shop every time something breaks, and it's going to cost money. It will open up the opportunity to make money and to do different things. So I think it would all balance out. But I think when people leave comments and they've got good intentions and everything, I'm cool with that. I'm not going to be like, fuck you. That's not what I'm getting at here. It's just that unless you've been in a situation like I'm in, people are gonna give you advice and you're just gonna be like, yeah, whatever, I don't care. Like, I'm gonna do what I have to do. One way or another, I'll figure something out. When that guy passed me on the e-bike on Saturday morning, flying. It didn't look like an e-bike right out the gate. Like some e-bikes are like, oh, that's an e-bike. Even if it's a bicycle e-bike and not an electric motorcycle. There's two categories in my head. It's a bicycle with a motor, or it's a motorcycle that's electric. And those are the two. There's a fine line between the two. And the motorcycles can have pedals. Sometimes they do, with crank arms, to make it look like a bicycle, so the cops will leave you alone. Because they're gonna start cracking down and making laws to where you can't have an electric motorcycle without going through all the bullshit that you need to get. You'll need a motorcycle license, insurance, license plates, all of it. They're gonna do that. It's coming. But if you have a bicycle with a motor, it'll be classified differently. And it'll be like a moped. It'll be like a pedal-assisted Trek, or Specialized, or Greg LeMond, or whatever brand that you ride. If it's a pedal-assisted bicycle, or even a full throttle bicycle, but it's a bicycle, it looks like a bicycle. Like if you ride by, someone thinks you're on a bicycle, like the guy that passed me the other day. It didn't even register in my mind that he was on an e-bike. But I couldn't figure it out. He had flat pedals, sneakers. He was wearing like just a regular old t-shirt and shorts, and he was flying. And I'm like, he must be going. When he caught me, I turned, like when I was way down the bike trail, I looked back and I saw a guy on a bike, but he was all upright, looked like he was riding a hybrid. And I'm like, yeah, he's not gonna catch me. Not even a minute later, woof, he goes flying by me, and I'm like, what the fuck was that? And I'm looking at him, how the hell is this guy going that fast? And I couldn't figure it out, because my mind wasn't working. It was early in the morning. I'm like, I'm telling you, like 20 minutes later, I'm like, that dude was on an e-bike. But it just didn't look like an e-bike. It looked straight up like a regular bike. But I know it was a Trek. That's the only thing I know for sure. And so I don't know like what he was riding. I don't know what model it was, but it looked like a standard bicycle, but a lot of those bicycle company bikes do. I mean, some of them are very, very hard to tell. Some of them are obvious. And it did make me think though. I'm like, there have been e-bikes that pop up from time to time on Facebook Marketplace. This one Specialized was catching my eye. And when I see that guy going 25 miles an hour like it wasn't any problem, and that means I could go to the bakery in an hour, almost putting in no effort. I'm still got to pedal, but to take an hour to get there and back without any effort in eco mode, where the range might be on the Greg LeMond road bike, the range in eco mode is 90 miles. 90 miles of pedal assist, 25 miles an hour. I don't know what the high power mode is. Plus they have governors on these bikes to limit their speed on purpose, because they're, by law, they can only be allowed to go so fast and be classified as an e-bike, bicycle, or the different categories and classifications. But you can get software or do hacks or something. You can unlock it. Most of these e-bikes that have an electronic governor can be unlocked to their full potential, to where you can crank along at 70 miles an hour if you wanted to. And but either way, going 25 miles an hour all the way to the bakery and back would be insane. That would be so, I mean, wow. I don't even have a place to put an extra bicycle in here. I don't know what I would do. I have no idea where or how I would even fit that in here. Straight up, I'm looking around. There's nowhere I could even fit it. Another bicycle. I mean, probably back there on a hook hanging from the ceiling or something like that. But I mean, so I just look at that. I'm not like, this isn't like burning a hole in my pocket. Ooh, I got to get an e-bike. It just makes me think that like that would increase. I don't think it would increase my radius of transportation. Like I'm not going to get on a 50-pound bicycle, crank all the way out 50 miles, and then have a dead battery and have to ride that thing all the way home with no battery power. I think it would serve a purpose. I think it would have whatever the range is that you can get on like eco mode. If that's 50 miles, the Specialized bike that I was looking at had about a 50-mile range in eco mode. That would get me to and from the bakery, generally speaking. But that's pretty close. That's tight. But the battery on those, the Specialized, the Treks, the batteries are removable, so I could pop the battery off, take it into the bakery, and plug it into a charger. But the charger is a beast. So I'd have to get an extra charger and leave one there and here. It could be done. It could be done. There could be a use for something like that. I really was against me ever getting an e-bike because of a million different reasons. You saw me talking about how my wheel fell off for no fucking reason yesterday. I haven't even looked into that in detail, but I think it's fine. I don't see any reason why that happened other than something got loose. you really like, the only thing that looks kind of weird is my quick release lever. It could be a problem with the quick release lever. I may have to take I am going to take it off and take it out and look at it and see if something obvious shows up, like a problem with the quick release lever. That's the only thing I can even think of. That's possible. That's the only thing I can think of that maybe happened. But I rode all the way home after I put the wheel back on and tightened everything down, and the only issue I was having was my brake alignment, and that I can fix here at home in a way that will probably not resurface for a few weeks. Loctite, I may have to use the red Loctite. The blue Loctite lasted a while, but the blue Loctite at least allows me to turn the screw easily if I need to make an adjustment. But otherwise it shouldn't move. But I just got to do a tune-up. I got to do a whole tune-up on that bike and just go through it. And it's like an hour of my time right there. But I'm not going to ride it until I do this and just really look at things and just be like, what? That was like a weird, like, I cannot remember any time in my life, but I'm positive, I would be willing to bet that that kind of thing has happened on a mountain bike ride. Mountain bikes are, you abuse a mountain bike so bad going mountain biking that it would not surprise me if I had an issue like that. But I don't trust this silver bike for, like, if I was to go on a long distance ride, like bike packing or something like that, I don't trust it. I don't trust it. If I had to go on a 100-mile ride, I would trust it if I knew where I was going. And I would trust it enough if I knew I could call somebody and get a ride home if something happens that can't be fixed out on the trail. But I've had just goofy things, but goofy things happen on bike rides. If you ride 1,000 miles, I guarantee you something is going to happen that makes you scratch your head and go, how the hell did that happen? I've gone 3,000 miles this year, and I could count, okay, 1, 2, 3, 4. I could probably count 4 or 5 times where something has gone wrong, and I'm like, how did that even happen? Like, I can't even figure out how it would have happened. It just did, and it doesn't make any sense. And so I'll just leave it at that. I hope I don't have to go biking today. Maybe tomorrow. I don't know, man. Out of it. Yeah. I gotta get the laundry going, so I'm gonna cut this video off. I'm not saying too much. I do have other things to talk about. I'll just queue up a different video and start another recording. I'll look at some notes and whatnot, and kind of just jump back into that whole Tour de France coverage that you'll be seeing a month after the Tour de France is over. That's pretty much it. So anyway, I'm gonna say peace out for now.